All right, last time we wrapped up with mood disorders, and so I don't need to recap on that, but I just wanted to start where we finished. So let's move forward and let's see if this is going to work. There we go. Okay, eating disorders. So let's move into eating disorders. Basically, there are an abnormal eating habits that are detrimental to an individual's overall health and well-being. You know, I think everybody probably deals with some levels of maybe overeating sometimes, but when it starts to get detrimental to your health and on a consistent basis and your overall well-being, then it can be considered a disorder. Insufficient food intake, those are disorders that you may have heard of before: anorexia and bulimia. Anorexia is just simply where you don't eat. And bulimia, of course, is where you eat and then puke it back up. They both end with nervosa as far as the terminology of it. And then there's excessive food intake, which is binge eating. We're all probably a little guilty of that sometimes, especially after you get, someone breaks up with you and you eat 2 gallons of ice cream. But that's not what they mean. When it gets to be a situation where it's detrimental to your health and you do it all the time, it becomes sort of a habit, then it's considered a disorder, so you have to get that taken care of. Couple other, there we go. Okay, conduct disorders. Conduct disorders are these are some that are specific to children and teens. Sometimes conduct disorder actually are even evident in adults, but they just term them something different probably at that point. But they're specific to children and teens. Some of them are simply, people dealing with low self-esteem, guilt or remorse, and the inability to understand how their behavior affects others. Some very interesting graphics that they have here, but I just wanted to hit on that. The conduct disorders, you probably have seen them before, and you may have even experienced them before. Some of the symptoms are, aggressive behavior, destructive behavior, deceitful behavior, and then violation of rules, simply kind of making your own rules as you go along. Some of the causes for this is, biological causes, meaning that it's something that is biological, meaning that it has to deal with your body in a biological meaning. It's just that it's a physical problem with you. The other would be a genetic type of situation where it's something that, your daddy was crazy, you're crazy. No, I don't mean to make joke of that, but it's something that can be handed down. And not all conduct disorders are super, super destructive, but things like deceitful behavior and that type of stuff. Environmental, that's a real big cause of, it's a big topic. And one of the things we're going to talk about in this class is something called nature versus nurture. And if you look at the first 2 causes, biological and genetics, that is termed as a nature, meaning it's not something that is caused by the environment or the person's surroundings. And for example, you get into environmental and social, and what they're saying is, for example, young people who are raised in a difficult environment, they handle situations differently. And you always hear about country kid versus the inner city kid. They handle things differently. So is it nature versus nurture type situation? And it's an ongoing discussion with disorder type discussions in academia. Schizophrenia is simply a loss of contact with reality. It's where they don't see things like we see things. The most serious, it is the most serious of all mental illnesses. It's caused by genetic, environmental, and biochemical factors, meaning simply that, there's a lot of times it's a chemical imbalance that's causing that, but a lot of that is onset through genetics and environmental, meaning how they were raised, what type of environment they were raised in, and but it can be controlled and it can be, but not really cured. It can be, managed. But they say that it just simply cannot be cured. So you probably have seen a lot of shows where people illustrate schizophrenia and that type of stuff. Over 2 million Americans are afflicted by this particular type of disorder, and the different types are paranoid, disorganized, catatonic, and undifferentiated. Okay, there we go. So what I need you guys to do, I need y'all to actually go ahead and do some research, and I need y'all to put together a paragraph based on these different 4 types of categories of schizophrenia: paranoid, disorganized, catatonic, and undifferentiated. And these are different types of schizophrenia. Just a 1-page paper, just a little paragraph. Do some research and learn about these 4 different types of schizophrenia. And that will wrap us up for today. That is your assignment. Okay, great.